Hey folks, welcome to PlayBranson, the show where you get to know Branson's entertainers better. I'm your host, Chris Meyer, and today's episode is brought to you by iBranson.com. It's the place where you can find all the latest show schedules and attraction information, so be sure to check out iBranson.com. Now, our guest today is Rick McEwen with The Gambler. It's a tribute to Kenny Rogers. Now, if you think about Kenny Rogers, he has an amazing history. He's a Grammy award-winning superstar, and he enjoyed exceptional success throughout his 6 decades that he was in the business. He sold over 120 million albums worldwide, making him one of the best-selling male artists of all time, according to RIAA, he had a Diamond Award, he had 20 platinum albums, he had 11 gold albums. He recorded 24 #1 hits, including the classics like The Gambler, Lady, Islands in the Stream, Lucille, She Believes in Me, and Through the Years. 12 #1 albums and 25 top 10 country albums. Miraculously, he charted a song within each of the last 7 decades. That's just crazy when you think about it. But he set a lot of records, and so folks, we will be back in just a minute to talk with Rick McEwen about his show and his career. Hang tight.
You got to know when to hold.
Rick McEwen presents The Gambler, a tribute to Kenny Rogers. The songs and stories of one of the most successful singers in music history. Known the world over for his country hits, his pop hits, and the duets that top the international charts.
Love will turn you around, turn you around.
He looks like the man. He sings like the man. Nominated 2016 Male Vocalist of the Year. He is a member of the Traditional Country Music Hall of Fame.
Don't take your love to town. You're the love of my life.
Nominated as 2022 Male Vocalist of the Year in South Texas. Live the memories of some of the greatest love songs of all time.
I'll stay with you through the years.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Gambler.
You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em.
Hey folks, welcome back to PlayBranson. On today's show, I have Rick McEwen, who has a show that's called The Gambler, a tribute to Kenny Rogers.
Yes, it's. I know that's a lot of people come up and said, "Well, do you do gambling in your show?" And it's like, no. Some people get it that it's about Kenny because that's his. That was pretty much his trademark.
It really was.
That song.
And so you've been in Branson for a long time, and we are going to talk about this show more, but what we always like to do is we like to go way back because you have a long history in the entertainment business. And so how did you get into this business, and tell us about your career as you have gone along.
Okay, really quick. I'll make it quick. 1976, I'd been playing music about 2 years for a living, and I thought, well, it's time I moved to Nashville and become one of the Nashville Cats.
Okay.
And I get up there and they chewed me up and spit me out. Because I had no idea what you had to do to be in Nashville. It was the number charts, the way they do their charting and everything. And then I said, well, maybe I'll be a songwriter, you know. And then I tried writing songs, and I got about halfway through in about 200 songs.
Oh my gosh.
And I was in Nashville 8 years. And during that time, I worked for the Blackwoods. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you RW and Donna. Hey, RW Donna. And but I worked with them with a buddy of mine, Rob Dixon. From that, I got hired by a guy named, little-known banjo player named Earl Scruggs.
Earl Scruggs.
And he hired me, and we worked through that. And then I got hired by a group called the Dillards. And that's how I ended up in Branson. Rodney Dillard and Dean Webb. And we traveled the first 3 years. We went everywhere. We went to Mexico City, did TV shows there. London, 2 years in a row, we did the big Wembley festivals, 15, 20,000 people. Bluegrass festivals in Minnesota and Wisconsin. I'm a kid. I'm from Alabama, and I'm showing up, and there's 35,000, 45,000 people at these
Wow.
concerts,
Wow.
and I'm like, I could get along with this. I could deal with this. So anyway, long story short, moved to Branson. We started the night shows at Echo Hollow at Silver Dollar City with the Dillards in 1984.
1984. Folks,
And,
that's 40 years ago now.
Yeah.
And so Branson, sometimes people don't realize Branson has such a musical history. And I mean, this is an example of that.
You know what? Back when Jim Owens was downtown, a lot of people don't realize that he had the little theater, the Owens Theater, and he would bring entertainment in even back then, and that was years before the Ball Knobbers started playing at the skating rink and out at Shepherd of the Hills. They were the, that was the original. What do you call it? The nebula for this thing.
Yeah.
Rockaway Beach was in 1958 was still the hot spot, and then they built the dam, and all of a sudden you can't swim in the water, so they started moving to Branson. The Ball Knobbers started their show. Presley's, Foggy River Boys, the Plumbers.
And so when you say Echo Hollow, for people that aren't maybe familiar with that is where Celebration City Theme Park was.
No, Echo Hollow is in Silver Dollar City.
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah. I'm thinking Mutton Hollow.
Yeah,
I was thinking Mutton Hollow. Yeah, Echo Hollow. Right.
Yeah, and anyway, they had, back then, the first year we opened that show at Echo Hollow, we had 383,000 people come to that show. And they used to close on October the 31st, Halloween, every year. The town would shut down. When I got here, we were still running a 6-month season. No red lights. It was all 4-way stops. Right where the Titanic was a 4-way stop. Much more efficient than it is now. Downtown, no red lights. There was no red route, green route, blue route. It was one road.
Yeah.
And if you want to go to Silver Dollar City on a weekend, you left I call it 65. Your average wait was about 3 hours to get to Silver Dollar City. So you better start early.
Yeah.
And then they added the extra roads and the high road, and I watched it all grow. I watched the boom hit. We were here before the boom.
Yeah.
And boy, when everybody decided it was a good place to be, Mel Tillis, Mel was a good friend when he was in town, and he was like, he went on television and said, I made $6 million in 6 months.
And the town went crazy.
And the town went crazy. They overbuilt everything.
Yeah.
They were building hotels faster than you could shake a stick at it.
Yeah.
And then it was, everybody and their brother. We had people that didn't even have a place to live. We're moving here from other parts of the country just to be here, to be part of this.
That's true. So you did Echo Hollow, and then what happened after that?
Okay. I did a short stint with the Ozark Jubilee. A great country singer named Jeff Carson was there before me, and then I did a year with them. Then I went to work for a group called the Ozark Mountain Boys. We were a quartet, and we were doing the country style stuff. We were kind of like the Oak Ridge Boys, except we didn't have no money. and so what we did was we opened the show for Waylon Jennings, George Jones, Loretta Lynn, Jerry Reed, Dottie West. I mean, we got to meet and hang out with everybody, and it was great. And then the next year, I got hired by Jim Stafford. And Jim and Ann hired me and wanted me to come over and front the band and be the featured singer in the show. And I did that for 14 years.
That's a long time.
And
it's a very long time.
Yeah, while they were looking for someone to sing the love songs. They wanted one in the first half, one in the second half, plus a bass player. And, I was available and in the right price range. And so we did that. I did, during that time, we ended up with the world's largest rear projection 3D show. And we shot it all at the theater, everything in-house. My buddies at the Hey Goods, hey guys, we used to do balloon races to start our show. And we found out that it would really trigger a crowd. They were like, they got involved. And so we did that. And the Hey Goods are carrying it on now, which I'm thrilled about. Those guys are incredible show they have going over there. And you don't have to pay me for that plug, but that's okay. But we did stuff like that. We flew a 12-foot helium flying saucer out
Yeah.
over the crowd.
I remember that.
We had quad sound, which nobody had heard of or was using. Jim did a little song called Cow Patty. And when he got done with the song, he would run off the stage, run up the aisle, and the sound would follow him. The herd of cattle. It'd be a stampede. We got a stampede. And he would run through the lobby. And then we would switch characters. And somebody else would be the other guy that run down the aisle. And then it would be done. Everybody would applaud. And then Jim would come walking down the aisle dressed back in his show clothes. And but we did some wild and crazy stuff during those years. We had our crowd average was from 4 years old to 95 years old.
Yeah.
And it's just to capture that. He was, as the sign used to say, he was a comic genius.
Yeah.
And I got to work with him, and I was so thrilled. I picked up a few of those things, and it's made it possible for me to now do a one-man show. And that's what I'm doing with The Gambler. I'm doing...
and that's a great place to stop, okay?
Yeah,
we're going to
sure.
stop right there. And folks, we're going to come back and talk about The Gambler show here in just a minute, so hang tight.
There are so many things to do in Branson. You need help planning and booking all your fun. You need iBranson.com. You can find everything Branson has to offer from your computer, tablet, or cell phone. You can even buy tickets online or talk to one of their friendly Branson travel specialists. There's no sales pitches, no delivery fees, no service fees, and no waiting. It's fast and easy. Find your fun at iBranson.com. Do it all online or call 877-ENTERTAIN. That's 877-368-3782. iBranson.com.
Going to Branson for some relaxation and fun? You've got to stay with Branson's award-winning hotel family, Meyer Hotels. Meyer Hotels features 4 hotels in Branson with the best locations for your trip. Choose from brands you know and trust, like the Holiday Inn Express on Green Mountain Drive, the Best Western Centerpoint Inn, Comfort Inn at Thousand Hills, and the Comfort Inn and Suites. Enjoy refreshing indoor pools and hot tubs. Do you like free? How about a free hot breakfast each morning? Free vacation planning services, and of course, smiles are always free. Want even more value? Go to MeyerHospitality.com and join our e-club to save 15% off your next stay and check out incredible deals with our vacation packages. Call 1-877-FUN-STAY to book Branson's award-winning hotels or visit MeyerHospitality.com. It's your safe choice for award-winning lodging in Branson. MeyerHospitality.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to PlayBranson. We're here today with Rick McEwen, and he's got this show over at the Little Opry Theater called The Gambler. And so maybe people, they have no clue what we're talking about. Maybe they just tuned in, didn't even listen to the last segment, but it's a tribute to Kenny Rogers. And so tell people about the show.
A little backstory.
Yes.
People have been telling me for years that, when you sing other people's songs, you sound kind of like Kenny Rogers. And I'm like, well, that's nice, and I just kind of blew it off. And then I started realizing, I tried doing a couple of Kenny songs, and it just really fit. I didn't have to change my voice. It really was. And now I get people coming up saying, 3 or 4 years ago, you kind of look like Kenny. And they said, sometimes even when you talk, your voice lends itself, sounds like Kenny. And but they said, when you sing, you sound just like him. And I said, well, it's still my voice. I don't know if I'm an impersonator or not. I don't think that. I come under that. It's just the way it comes out. I travel all over Texas, and great crowd turnouts down there, standing ovations. And I'm not used to that. I was a sideman for 45 years. And to be the guy up front, it's a little different. And it's a little tougher because I sing for 90 minutes. A lot of people say, well, how do you sing for that long? And I said, well, I sing every day. So I try to anyway. But it's a one-man show. It's the songs of Kenny. I have some humorous stories. Some of them are more humorous than others. And I tell people, I say, when you come to my show, there's a really good chance that you're going to sing along. Because you know the lyrics, whether you know them or not. You're going to have memories. People come out of my show, some of them are a little teary-eyed, grown men come out of my show, and they said, You know, I proposed to my wife at a Kenny Rogers concert. We've been to 5 or 6 Kenny Rogers concerts, and he always said what I wanted to tell my wife, but I never could. His songs spoke to. Oh. And so I get that. You know, I mean, that's what I get after the show.
That's so touching.
Well,
it's amazing.
After the show, and it's like I tell him, I said, you know, sometimes you need to bring a little Kleenex because you get, it's emotional. But you know, I do Lady, I do Through the Years, anniversary song. Oh gosh, She Believes in Me. I do the Greatest. I have a story. You have to come hear that. It's about when I was 10 years old. I got a baseball bat for Christmas, and it was my first bat that was just my size. I had 2 older brothers, and they had the bigger bats, and I couldn't swing them. They were too big for me. And I got it for Christmas. And I tell a little joke about it, that my mom was telling my dad that, you know, you should have got him a baseball. I heard her telling my dad, and I figured it was about my brothers. Anyway, after I got the present, I opened it up, brand new, shiny, beautiful baseball bat. I take it out in the driveway and start picking up gravel and hitting it, because I didn't have a baseball. And after about 2 hours, it looked like a grizzly bear had been chewing on my bat. And that story goes on, but it's guys relate to that when they were kids. You know, our treasures back then was a baseball bat or something simple. I said nowadays it's I got a cell phone, I got a Game Boy, I got this, and it's just not as simple as it used to be. You know, I grew up rural in North Alabama, Ebenezer, Alabama. I'm sure you all know where that is. Population 50. But my show is it's about the songs of Kenny. Some of my stories I tell how I go to Nashville. I was talking about that. How I met some songwriters, and I was there 8 years, and I think I was probably out of work for maybe 4 weeks.
Wow.
And I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I just know that the big guy was looking after me. Yeah. And he has ever since.
Yeah. And so you've had this long career in the musical industry, and you've seen lots of different things. You've been doing lots of different things. And so I think it's really neat where now it's like, this is your show. I mean, you were playing in Jim Stowe, but now this is your show.
It's up to me if I'm sitting there, and I'm sure some of my buddies that have shows in town can relate. If you're in the middle of the show and your front row is 5 or 6 feet away from you, they're going to see when you sweat. They're going to know when if you've missed something or you spaced something out and went past it and have to back up. Your tech guys are looking at you like going, ah! And it's me and my wife, and she does my lights. We had our lights designed. She runs the lights for me and the sound. Yeah. And I'm sitting here, and every now and then we get to joke because we were, husbands and wife kind of humor between the sound booth and all these ladies and the guys. They can relate to us.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the theater, because I love the theater you're at because it is very intimate.
Let me tell you, it's Paul Bluto. Well, actually, I've stood on that ground before the IMAX was there, and we recorded when it first opened up. We did a surround sound, the music to introduce the PA system, and they have been playing that up until they just redid the huge new sound system and everything, where they would introduce it, and we had chickens and hogs, and it was Danny Akins, my buddy from Silver Dollar City, me and him, and Jim Stafford, Rodney Dillard. Yeah. We recorded all this stuff, and we put it, this was before digital. Yeah. I mean, it was digital, but it was on tape. But they would introduce the sounds, different things. There's burping, there's dogs barking. We did all this crazy stuff. But the little theater is right off of the main IMAX. It's 210 seats. It's probably one of the sweetest little theaters you ever want to go in, because like I said, your front row is I mean, you can literally reach out and touch hands with the front row, and the back row is probably 20 feet away, 24 feet away. Yeah. So there's not a bad seat in the house. It's in the IMAX complex. Paul had the foresight. They added this in to the IMAX, and it has been just a beautiful place to play. Jimmy Rogers used to play there. Jimmy was there for a long time.
So a lot of people have played that stage, but tell people like when your schedule is normally, and I know it might shift throughout the year, but when can people normally catch you there?
Okay, during the year, first starting in July, Monday morning at 10 o'clock, Tuesday 5 o'clock. It's usually, there's a lot of people's meal time, but it's a 90-minute show. I have you out by 6:30. You've got plenty of time to get to your next show and have a meal or whatever. And then Thursday at the same time. And in the fall, we go back to, I'm Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and it's at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And that goes to about December, I think it's the 11th or 12th.
Okay. And there, so folks, here's the deal. You know this, but Kenny Rogers' songs are timeless. They're good. Did he do a song called Crazy? Does that sound right? Because I feel
crazy for feeling so blue.
Yeah. So I think back in the day when we had tapes.
Oh yeah.
I put that on a tape to my wife. You know, you talk about these memories.
Oh yeah.
And it was my little mixtape and it had that song on it. Now she was my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
But when you talk about those memories, boy, I think that can resonate with a lot of people.
You know, I met Kenny in '77, and back then, I mean, he had already had a career going with the First Edition, and he was in Nashville, and they were shopping a record label, and I was in Nashville when he signed his deal with the record label, and it seems like just months. I mean, very short period of time when he went from Lucille to Gambler, and he's selling out arenas. And the next thing you know, he's writing. He's got Lionel Richie writing for him. He's got all these incredible songwriters writing for him. And the way it was best explained to me was Kenny said all the things that us fellas wanted to say. And it really does. I'll be in the middle of the show, and I'll start thinking, which is a horrible thing for me to do in the middle of a show. And I'll sit there, and I'll literally start bellowing. Not bellowing, but I mean, my ears.
You just get emotional.
I do. And it's like I'm trying to hide it and trying to be strong for these people out front. But I have guys videotaping. I let them videotape during my show because I just do. At my age, I'm just thrilled somebody might want to make my picture. but as many guys videotape as there are as the ladies, and I think it's because they want to take it, they want to play it
for their wife.
They want to play it for their wives, or they want to play it for them to like bring them out. And,
okay, folks, we're ran out of time. Here's the deal: you need to go see Rick McEwen, a legend here in Branson. Go check him out with the show The Gambler, a tribute to Kenny Rogers over at the Little Opry Theater that is in the IMAX complex, which is on Shepherd of the Hills Expressway. It's been there for a long time. There's a lot also to do there. You can do some shopping. You can do some eating.
IMAX
movies. There's a lot of things to do there at the IMAX complex. So go check Rick McEwen out at the Little Opry Theater, and I think you're going to have an awesome time. We'll be back in just a second to wrap the show up.
You got to know when to hold 'em.
Rick McEwen presents The Gambler, a tribute to Kenny Rogers. The songs and stories of one of the most successful singers in music history.
Your heart.
Known the world over for his country hits, his pop hits, and the duets that top the international charts.
Love will turn you around, turn you around.
He looks like the man. He sings like the man. Nominated 2016 Male Vocalist of the Year. He is a member of the Traditional Country Music Hall of Fame.
Don't take your love to town. You're the love of my life.
Nominated as 2022 Male Vocalist of the Year in South Texas. Live the memories of some of the greatest love songs of all time.
I'll stay with you through the years.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Gambler.
You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. We've been talking with Rick McEwen. Now, you can catch his shows normally on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 5 p.m. at the Little Opry Theater. There are sometimes some schedule changes, so you'll want to check that out. But, you know, as we've talked about Kenny Rogers, You know, he's won awards from almost every organization imaginable. In the fall of 2013, Rogers was inducted into the biggest honor, which was being inducted to the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville. His numbers include 21 American Music Awards, 11 People's Choice Awards, 10 Academy of Country Music Awards, including the Career Achievement Award, Entertainer of the Year, multiple Male Vocalist of the Year awards, and the Cliff Stone Pioneer Award, 6 Country Music Association awards. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And in 2015, Rogers was voted the favorite singer of all time in a poll that was conducted by both USA Today and People. In 1980, Rogers made musical history with his crossover success of Lady. The Lionel Richie composition and production netted the Rogers a #1 hit in country, pop, AC, and R&B fields. The album from which this song was pulled, Kenny Rogers' Greatest Hits, was certified diamond for sales of over 10 million units in the 80s. And he stayed on top of the charts with #1 hits like I Don't Need You through the years. We've Got Tonight with Sheena Easton, Islands in the Stream with Dolly Parton, Crazy, Morning Desire. He also was a part of We Are the World, which had Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, all that kind of thing. In 2000, he returned to the #1 spot on Billboard country charts for the first time since 1987 with the love song Buy Me a Rose, and that was quite impressive. And he did it when he was 61 years old, and he became the oldest artist in chart history to have another #1 solo song. So our guest next week is going to be drummer Dino Phillips with the Haygoods. You'll want to hear more about his career, and we look forward to talking to him. Music is always better live, so go see some live music this week.